Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody on this Wednesday morning? It is Wednesday, right? Yeah, it's Wednesday. My days are all messed up because this trial's been on hiatus. How are you guys? Let's say hi to everybody. Hi, Chick Tracy. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Shmita. Hi, Shalima. Hi, Carla. Hi, Paula. How's everybody doing? Oh, thank you, Sarah. I'm glad you guys like it. Um, what I thought we would do today is I'm having trouble locating long, like more than 15 minutes as the longest clip of Amber Heard's defamation testimony that I found because I think it's I can't even find I can't even find like the paper version of it. So, what I thought we would so I was kind of intending to like talk about the deposition while we wait for the trial to resume. But hey, Scout Inquirer, thank you. Um but I can't really find a whole lot on it. I mean, we're going to talk about it. Give me just a second. I have to answer this text. I'm sorry. I don't like to do this, but it's distracting me and I need to answer. All right. So, anyway, what I thought I would do this morning, is go through like the key moments during the trial and kind of discuss that, right? And then this afternoon or this evening, we'll play some more clips and the part of the depositions that I can find online to play for you guys. And what I'd like to do is have an open panel. And I want to show you guys something that I made because, as we're all aware, when you have an open panel, you run the risk of just any old person clicking the link. And, we know what happens sometimes when that happens. So I wanted to show you guys what I made for that just in case. Right, here we go. This is thank you to CM Franco. I thought about writing please hold while we screen for pain, but then I was like, nah, the YouTubes ain't going to go for that. So I just had to leave it as it is this way. But I thought it's perfect for screening for any type of BS, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to do tonight. I really want to hear what you guys are thinking when you hear some of the stuff that is played, the content, the clips and, the testimony. And I like to discuss it because, it's very possible um, that that you're seeing it a different way. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different perspective on the things on the testimony, and everybody has different takeaways from it. And I'm really interested in hearing that from you guys. So, yeah. Hey, Crackling Rosie, True Crime. Yes, Carla, I had to put it up there because I love it so much. It just says everything. I've never seen a cookie that represents all of the things like that before, and I'm so impressed with it that I had to I had to use it for the overlay. If it's not okay, let me know and I'll make something else. But yeah. All right, let me do something really quick before I start this sharing of the screen. So I will say that I did not put together any type of compilation myself, although I suppose I could have. I just kind of wasn't going to do that. Um, but I am working on a compilation of videos, or not a compilation, but of testimony, just the clips, of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, because, well, mainly Amber Heard this time, just because I feel like it needs to be played. So let's see. All right. The the first clip that the first testimony that I want to play is Johnny Depp's agent. And the reason that I want to play that is because at the end of the day, um, this is really what the core of this trial is about, is what, if any, damage was done to Johnny Depp's career because of this op-ed, right? At the end of the day, no matter how vindicated Johnny Depp may or may not be, I personally at this point feel that he's vindicated, but I will say this. Oh, okay. Thank you, Carla. I will say at this point that he, in my opinion, has vindicated himself in the court of public opinion. But I'm not. But I'm still open, right, to hearing what Amber Heard has to present. I mean, we're the cross exam is going to be Monday, and that's going to be everything. So we are all going to be there, and I want you guys to keep me on task, because sometimes going live twice is a lot for me, and I kind of get like, I don't want to. I'm so sorry about your neighbor. That's awful. Oh, that's terrible. So, I just, you guys email me, like, I don't care. Bug me, because I need to be kept on task. I have a hard time with keeping on task. Anyway, so the clip that I want to play, it's 30 minutes. I don't plan to be on here for a super duper long time, but anyway, I see how distracted I am. It's terrible. Anyhow, what I want to do is I want to get to the heart of the issue, because what I'm very, very interested in is, and I want to talk about this on the open panel tonight, is, has at this point, because Johnny Depp has rested, right? He's rested his case in chief. I don't know, and I'll have to look it up for you guys, because I'm not sure about how about a civil trial, but I don't know if he gets a rebuttal. All right. I kind of feel like he does, because they referred to it as case in chief. So I feel like that means that he gets a rebuttal, but I will verify just to be sure. Okay. So I'm really curious what everybody thinks so far about what he has presented, and is it enough evidence to get him over the threshold of the burden of proof that it was the op-ed that is what caused the damage to his career. She defamed him because it was a lie, which is what he contends, and that it was, even though his name was not in the op-ed, that it was very clear to anybody and everybody who read it, but most importantly, the executives in the movie industry, the film industry that employ him, right? So, oh, okay, good. Thank you. Okay. I was curious about that. All right. So that's what I want to kind of focus on, because that's important. And plus, we're all going through the withdrawals from not hearing any testimony. And we haven't watched all of the testimony together, because it's a lot, right? So that's the part I want to play for you guys today. Or there's more. I've got several stuff to play, and I want to talk about it tonight too. But this is what his agent says, okay? All right, so here we go. Let me fix this. All right. Are we ready? I'm going to speed him up just a scotch, because I am incapable now of listening to videos at normal speed. I have to speed them up a little bit, but I'll put the subtitles on that way in case. Okay. Are you ready? Okay, here we go.
Number 12. This is published in the Washington Post on December 18, 2018. Were you aware of this article?
Yes.
Op-ed?
Yes.
Ms. Carino, when I asked you whether you were aware one way or the other, whether this lawsuit that's reflected in exhibit number 11 had a negative impact on Mr. Depp's reputation and career, you answered no. What did you mean by that?
I meant that there isn't a way for any individual to know whether the filing of a document had an impact on somebody's career, positive or negative, without specific research conducted in exactly that case.
The same as in the facts, so that because you haven't researched it, you don't know whether it impacted Mr. Depp's reputation or career, correct?
I believe I stated that unless someone had done research specifically about the filing of this document and its impact one way or the other, it's impossible to answer the question.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as Carino number 14.
Shmita.
This is the lawsuit that Mr. Depp filed against Ms. Heard. Do you believe that the filing of this lawsuit reflected in Carino deposition exhibit number 14 and the attendant publicity has had a negative impact on the reputation and career of Mr. Depp?
No.
And why not?
Because I've stated previously, it's not about the filing of a lawsuit, it's about the coverage. I mean, you're asking me what my opinion is of what Johnny's reputation is today. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
My opinion of what Johnny's reputation today is one of the finest actors of his generation.
Has, in your opinion, has Mr. Depp's reputation changed at any point from October 2016 to the present?
If you're asking me if what I defined as his reputation has changed in terms of his being viewed as one of the best actors of his generation, I would say no.
So just so I'm clear that I understand your answer, in your opinion, Mr. Depp's reputation is that he is one of the finest actors of his generation, and that has been his reputation since you started representing him in October 2016. It still is today, and it hasn't changed during that time frame. Is that correct?
The view on his acting ability has not changed.
And there's the syntax. That's
I'm
important.
taking your definition of reputation. You said what they are known for. So I'm taking that specific definition, and I'm asking, is there anything other than that Mr. Depp is one of the finest actors of his generation that he is known for that has changed between October 2016 and the present?
The only way I can answer that is as it relates to his professional capabilities. That has not changed.
Is there something that has changed that doesn't relate to his professional capabilities?
I don't know how to answer that, Elaine.
Using your definition of reputation, which is what a person is known for, is there any aspect of what Mr. Depp is known for that has changed between October 2016 and the present?
I've stated what I think his reputation is, and I've stated that, in my opinion, his professional reputation as it relates to the quality of his acting abilities has remained unchanged.
Do you make any distinction between personal and professional reputation?
Yes.
And what is that distinction?
The difference between what somebody does on screen and off screen.
What is your opinion of
She's trying to
what Mr.
catch
Depp
him
was
in
known
some
for
kind of a
off
lie, I
screen
think, you guys.
when you started representing him in October 2016?
I think what he was known for off screen was a shroud of mystery of who he was, because he was not visible to the public.
And that was back in October 2016?
I don't have a specific date for that.
All right, but when you started representing him, that was your sense?
Yes.
Okay. Did that change over time?
Yes.
And in what way did it change?
It changed with the exposure of that came with the losses.
And the lawsuits that we're talking about are the ones that we've already taken a look at: Exhibit 4, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 15. No, I mean 14.
I mean, I'm not talking about any one or two specifically, in general.
Do you believe that Mr. Depp is still a shroud of mystery, not visible to the public?
Not after this,
And when did that change?
today, or no, this trial.
Would you say it was cumulative over a period of time as a result of all of the litigation and the publicity ensuing?
Probably. Agree with that.
Is there any one specific litigation that you believe most significantly impacted on Mr. Depp's personal reputation no longer being a shroud of mystery and not visible to the public?
My opinion is that Amber's accusations would have had the most dramatic impact on his off-screen reputation. I'm not talking about any one specific accusation.
When you say Amber's accusations, what do you mean by that?
I mean the things that she's accused Johnny of doing, both in that have been made public.
Now, those accusations were made public in the divorce back in 2016, correct?
I don't know exactly how or when they were made public.
Given that you believe Amber's accusations would have had the most dramatic impact on Mr. Depp's off-screen reputation, would Amber have been filing the divorce action and obtaining a domestic violence restraining order have had a dramatic impact on Mr. Depp's off-screen reputation?
I think the only way I can answer that is by saying I don't think filing for divorce would have any impact whatsoever. And I'm actually not familiar with the lawsuit to get the restraining order, so I don't know exactly what's in there. But if that was based on claims of or accusations of
She
abuse,
really did, Paula.
then that, in my opinion, would have a negative impact on Johnny's off-screen reputation.
Mr. Carino, we were talking about Amber's accusations and your view that those would have the most dramatic impact on Mr. Depp's off-screen reputation. And you were talking about her accusations of domestic abuse and violence, correct?
Yes.
Were you aware that the Dan Wooten article published in The Sun included specific accusations by Amber Heard of domestic violence and abuse by Mr. Depp?
The Sun case, is that what you're asking about?
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
First the article itself that was in the paper, the why is J.K. Rowling genuinely happy about employing Mr. Depp, the wife beater?
Yes.
And you're aware that the litigation, the lawsuit, including the particulars of the claim brought by Mr. Depp,
Thanks for being
included
here, Chick
the
Tracy.
accusations by Amber Heard of domestic violence and abuse by Mr. Depp, correct?
Yes.
Given that the Mandel lawsuit included accusations by Amber Heard of domestic violence by Mr. Depp against her, are you able to say how much of Mr. Depp's off-screen reputation was impacted by the Mandel lawsuit?
No.
Now, you were aware that the op-ed by Dan Wooten in The Sun included accusations by Amber of domestic violence against Mr. Depp, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware, one way or the other, how much Mr. Depp's off-screen reputation was impacted by the complaint that was filed in this case that contained Amber Heard's accusations of domestic violence and abuse by Mr. Depp?
No.
Well, these
Are
are
you aware
horrible
of how
closed
much
captions, especially with
Mr.
Johnny
Depp's
Depp's
off-screen
last name.
reputation was impacted as a result of the op-ed in the Washington Post from Amber Heard?
No.
Are you aware of how much Mr. Depp's off-screen reputation was impacted by the accusations included in the Waldman tweet on May 2020 of the op-ed?
No.
Are you aware of any role or opportunity that Mr. Depp lost as a result of the op-ed by Dan Wooten in The Sun?
No.
Are you aware of any role or, and when I'm saying opportunity, any kind of business opportunity that Mr. Depp lost as a result of the particulars of claim that Mr. Depp filed?
No.
Are you aware of any role or business opportunities that Mr. Depp lost as a result of the op-ed by Amber Heard in the Washington Post?
Okay.
Are you aware of any roles or business opportunities that Mr. Depp lost as a result of the Waldman tweet from May 2020 relating to Amber's op-ed?
No.
Is there any other role or business opportunity that Mr. Depp has lost since you started representing him in October 2016? And I'm saying,
I would say his, I would say yes.
It's very extra,
The
Amelia.
Pirates, the next Pirates movie.
do you know which one that was?
6, 7, I'm not sure what the number is.
It's 6. I think the Pirate 6 is the one that you have to come out with. And why? What is your understanding of why Mr. Depp lost Pirate 6?
My opinion is that it was related to the accusations that Amber has made.
And what is your opinion based on?
Excuse me?
What is your opinion based on?
Conversations with colleagues and studio execs.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
Conversations with studios and other executives, both internal and external.
When you say related to the accusations that were made by Amber Heard against Mr. Depp, are you talking about accusations of domestic violence and abuse by Mr. Depp?
Yes.
How many conversations have you had with studio and other executives?
I have no idea.
More than 5, more than 10?
I don't know about more than 10, probably between 5 and 10.
Who do you recall speaking with at studios or other executives?
Jerry Bruckheimer, probably mostly Jerry, and then colleagues at CAA.
When did you first have any conversations with Jerry Bruckheimer about Pirate 6 and Mr. Depp?
I have no idea.
Do you recall whether it was in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019?
I don't.
When did you have any conversations with colleagues at CAA?
It would have been whenever the decisions were being made about how to cast that movie. I don't honestly, I don't know what year that was.
Do you recall? who you spoke
It's
with at
Amber
CAA?
Heard's lawyer during the questioning.
I spoke with
Elaine.
Jack Wiggum. I spoke with Brian Lord.
What do you recall Jerry Bruckheimer telling you?
I don't recall the specific conversations, but the nature of it was that the studio was having difficulty employing him.
And did Mr. Bruckheimer tell you why the studio was having difficulty employing Mr. Depp?
No, not specifically, but it was understood.
Did you ask?
I didn't need to.
Why did you think you didn't need to?
Because everyone was aware of what was garnering the attention of the studios and determining whether or not he could be employed.
When you say everyone was aware, how do you know that?
I don't know, I just knew.
Can you tell me who everyone is? Can you tell me who anyone is?
The
Oh,
people
wow.
who would have been involved in making that decision.
Well, if I'm understanding you correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the only person at Disney that you spoke with about pirates and employing Mr. Depp was Jerry Bruckheimer, correct?
Yes, this is his
yes.
agent. Yes,
And you spoke
Shalima.
between
Mhm.
5 and 10
I
times.
mean, Amelia,
Mr.
sorry,
Bruckheimer.
yes.
And he did not say in any of those conversations, the reason we're not employing Mr. Depp is because of Amber Heard's accusations of domestic violence and abuse by Mr. Depp, correct?
That's good.
Mr. Carino, when we went off for the break, we were talking about your discussions with Jerry Bruckheimer and other executives at CAA respecting Mr. Depp not being employed further at Disney and likely not in Pirates. And I think a question came up right before the break. And so I just want to make sure that I have clear, did you talk with anyone other than Jerry Bruckheimer at Disney about Mr. Depp not being employed again at Disney or Pirates?
No.
Okay. And was I correct that you, in understanding you had somewhere between 5 and 10 conversations with Mr. Bruckheimer relating to this topic?
Probably less than that. I talk to Jerry regularly, but probably not that many on this topic.
Okay. And was there anyone else at Disney that you spoke with at any point about Johnny Depp being considered for Pirates or not being employable by Disney?
No.
Okay. And is that true to the present?
Yes.
Okay. And the other discussions that
Hey,
you had,
Lori.
those
Have
were
fun
all
going
with
swimming,
executives
babe.
at CAA?
Yes.
Thanks for
And
popping
that was
in.
Brian Lord
I
and Jack Wiggum,
appreciate
correct?
it.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Not that I can recall now.
Do you you had indicated that you believe that everyone was aware that the impact of Amber's allegations were at the heart of this. I just want to make sure that we're clear, since we were just talking about this before the break. Jerry Bruckheimer did not say specifically what it was that caused Disney to decide not to continue with Johnny Depp in Pirates 6 or in other matters, correct?
Correct.
Well, and I'm trying to reach that it was understood. I'm trying to discover any facts that would have led you to believe it was understood. And if I'm understanding, use the same word, Mr. Bruckheimer didn't tell you that, correct?
Again, it was understood. So I don't recall whether either of us ever said anything specific about why, but it is something within the industry that is understood.
Can you tell me whether any other actors did not receive roles or were unemployable because of the Me Too movement allegations? Other than Mr. Depp.
Hey, Max,
Not that I work
2002,
with
good
directly
to
now.
see you.
In any of your discussions with Mr. Bruckheimer, did you ask him what Mr. Depp could do to become employable by Disney again, or to be able to get any part of any Pirates franchise going forward?
No.
Why not?
Because in cases like this, there is nothing anybody can do. It is the directive of the studio, and they have the sole right to make the judgment whether they can continue to employ somebody or not.
And your understanding from your discussion with Mr. Bruckheimer is that Disney had made the judgment to decide that they could no longer employ Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
Yes, but not solely based on conversations with Mr. Bruckheimer. It was cumulative with the internal and external conversations.
What did Mr. Lord say that led you to believe that? That Disney had made the decision, the judgment that they were not able to employ Mr. Depp at Disney.
Just that the decision had been made.
What did Mr. Whittam say about
The same.
Disney making the judgment of whether they would not be able to employ Mr. Depp?
Same thing.
Just that they made the decision.
Correct.
Were you aware of any problems on the set with Mr. Depp during the filming of Pirates 5? Were you aware of Mr. Depp engaging in alcohol and drug use, being tardy, any of those issues during the filming of Pirates 5?
I'm aware of him being tardy, but he's been tardy on everything in his entire life.
Were you aware of whether that was troublesome to Disney during the filming of Pirates 5?
I think it's troublesome to everybody, but everyone has learned how to produce a film to deal with it.
Working around Mr. Depp?
Yes.
Do you know whether there was anyone on the set of Pirates 5 who wasn't willing to deal with it and was quite irritated by it?
No.
Were you aware that the filming had to be shut down for a period of time after Mr. Depp injured his finger?
Yes.
Were you aware of any disagreements between Mr. Depp and Disney, including Mr. Bailey and others who were on the project, about artistic differences? In other words, where Mr. Depp thought something should be this way or something should be that way, and they didn't agree?
Yes.
Okay. What is your understanding of that?
There was a difference of opinion on how the film was edited.
And what is your understanding of what Mr. Depp thought it should be edited to?
I don't know how to describe the difference between the Disney edit and Johnny's preferred edit. I think Johnny told me about it, talked about it a little bit.
Do you know how well Pirates 5 did at the box office?
Not exactly.
Do you know whether it was more successful or less successful than earlier Pirates franchise films?
I think it was slightly less than, it wasn't the most successful installment of that franchise.
Do you know whether Mr. Depp has a pay or play clause that would pay him even if he was not in the subsequent Pirates 6?
In 6?
Yes.
I don't think he does.
Have you or anyone at CAA on behalf of Mr. Depp made any efforts with Disney to find any roles for Mr. Depp since he filmed Pirates 5?
My efforts were probably primarily around Houdini, which at one point was a film, but other people at CAA for sure did, yes.
Who are they?
I would start with Jack Wigham.
All right.
We'll now play volume 2 of Mr. Carino's deposition, at which, okay, maybe time for afternoon. Sure. Why don't we just close enough to it? Absolutely, Aaron. All right, before we
Yeah, we're not going to play that. Okay. So that's interesting because, okay, so let's talk about the timeline here. All right. So Amber's op-ed article came out in December of 2018. Okay. And then 6 days later, that's when Disney announced that they would not be employing, Johnny Depp would not be in the sixth installment of Pirates of the Caribbean. So it's interesting to me that his agent's testimony, because it's what he's saying is this is the way I interpret it, is that yes, the op-ed played a role in his personal reputation being impacted, but, and to some extent, his professional, in the capacity that it didn't cause people to say that they were not hot. This was the important distinction. It's what Amber Heard's attorneys are trying to get out of the agent is that the truth of the matter is that Johnny Depp suffered in his career, not because of any allegations made by Amber Heard, but because of his own behavior on the sets of movies, right? He was late, he was, this, that, and the third, right? So that's their assertion. However, what's interesting about that is that the lawyer or the talent, what is wrong with me and I can't talk today? His agent is saying that he had a really good professional career or a reputation, despite rumors and allegations that he is, as Amber Heard's team puts it, and Country Joe, a reprobate. I can never say that word right. But so I thought that his testimony was interesting because that actually goes to the core of the matter. Did Johnny Depp lose out on Pirates of the Caribbean 6 because of the op-ed? And the only person that would know that without having the Disney execs testify would be his agent, because they would tell him, which I found to be interesting. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you guys is, hold on. Where did I find that? There was another clip here. Here it is. So the title of this one is Amber Heard removed Johnny Depp's name from her op-ed after suggestion. So let me pull this up right quick. Hold on and read the description because I don't want to. Okay, so under the description, it reads, during his pre-recorded deposition on Thursday, ACLU COO Terrence Doherty testified that Amber Heard removed Johnny Depp's name from her op-ed after a suggestion from her editors. Doherty also spoke about how Heard had nothing to do with the op-ed headline, stating the Washington Post editorial team wrote it without approval from the ACLU or Heard. Okay, so I feel like this would be important information to hear, right? Because, okay, is the title there? Because there's, I think, two different titles. So there was the one that was in the paper, right? And then there was the one that was online. And it was the one online was much, in my opinion, more scandalous and potentially damaging than the one in than the one printed in the paper, which makes sense to me because most people get their news now from online sources versus actually, hey Sam, picking up a paper. Hey, Coolest Reviews, good to see you. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing well too. So anyway, I want to hear what the ACLU has to say as far as I find it interesting that Amber Heard initially intended to put his name in the op-ed. That to me is interesting. So let's hear what he has to say. All right.
Having been a survivor of gender-based violence. And so one of the things that we do with ambassadors is we want them to tell authentic stories about our issues in the public, and to the extent that they have any personal direct experiences, for that to be part of their story for the public.
So the ACLU was not forcing her to relate her own experience with GBV. It was leaving it up to Ms. Heard's discretion, correct?
Correct.
And Exhibit 31 was prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, correct?
Correct.
And it was maintained in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, correct?
Correct.
Let's move to Exhibit 33, please. Mr. Doherty, asking you to please look at Exhibit 33 and ask whether you've ever seen this before.
I have.
See the email from Robin Schulman to Jessica Weitz dated November 14th at 10:58 a.m.?
Yes.
Who is Jessica Schulman?
Robin Schulman is a person in the communications department who is no longer with us, but who had expertise in issues involving gender issues.
Well, you anticipated my next question. Is Robin Schulman still at the ACLU?
No.
And is she an attorney?
I don't know whether she's an attorney. A number of our communications department staff members are, but I don't know. She wasn't working as an attorney.
Ms. Schulman is asking Ms. Weitz, what's the status of this situation? What situation was she referring to?
The situation is whether we are going to be doing an op-ed with Amber.
Okay, and moving up on the page, there's an email from Jerry Johnson who says, quote, Jess had drinks with Amber last night, and it sounds like she was able to confirm with her that we'll be doing the first draft.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
It is often a decision has to be made when we're working with ambassadors or with other people who are speaking to the public, who does the first draft of the document. So it sounds here that Jerry is saying that that from Jess's conversation with Amber, we are moving forward with some kind of an op-ed, and that ACLU communications department staff members would be writing the first draft of it.
And Jess refers to Jessica Weitz?
Yes.
Okay, let's please turn to Exhibit 35, please. Have you ever seen this document before, Mr. Doherty?
And yes, I have seen this document. Thanks, Michael. I didn't.
And what is it?
This is a series of communications about the, it's the result of a series of communications about the op-ed that Amber, under Amber's name, took place with a media outlet. And so this is Jessica Weitz sending a draft of that to Amber.
Great, and let's go to the first email first. The email that starts in the second half of ACLU 185. It purports to be from Robin Schulman to Jessica Weitz on November 29. Do you see that?
I do.
And is she attaching the first draft of the op-ed to that email?
So I assumed that it was not an attachment, but it was just pasted into an email, but I can't tell from this. I don't see anybody saying attached. So it could be either. But what I see this as is Robin sending a note to Jess Weitz for Jess Weitz to then forward to Amber.
Understood. Robin says, I tried to gather your fire and rage and really interesting analysis and shape that into an op-ed form. What does that refer to?
That refers to the effort for our ACLU ambassadors to speak publicly in a way that is impactful, that is shows the importance of the issues and how important they are personally to individuals. And in this case, therefore, Amber's passion for working on gender-based violence issues and speaking about it, and that she has an analysis that is one that Robin finds interesting.
And so when she's referring to fire and rage, that's Ms. Heard's fire and rage, correct?
Yeah, that's my read of this, even though I recognize that it is confusing because it's an email from Robin to Jess.
And the rage would be directed against Johnny Depp, who purportedly abused her, correct?
I didn't take it to mean that. I took it to mean fire and rage about gender-based violence issues.
Was it your understanding that it was Robin Schulman who prepared the first draft of the op-ed?
Yes.
Okay. And Robin says to Jessica, your lawyer should review this for the way I skirted around talking about your marriage. Whose lawyers is she referring to there?
I believe these are Amber's regular advisors or who were involved in the review negotiation of the NDA between Amber and Johnny Depp.
And then if you direct your attention to the top email from Jessica White's to Amber Heard. She says to Amber, apologies for the delay, but we have needed to pass this through quite a few lawyers. What lawyers did Jessica White's pass the op-ed through?
These were lawyers in the Women's Rights Project of the ACLU, plus the director of the Center for Liberty, the deputy legal director of the ACLU, who runs the Center for Liberty, within which is the Women's Rights Project, and even the legal director of the ACLU, who runs the whole legal department, our programmatic litigation work on behalf of civil liberties, David Cole.
But it never got to your level, correct?
Well, David Cole is at my level, just to be clear. He also reports to the executive director, but it never got to me or anybody on my team.
No one asked you to review the first draft of the op-ed?
No.
Did anybody ever ask you to review any drafts of the op-ed, including the final draft that was published in the Washington Post?
No.
She says, I want to make sure nothing was said in here that puts you in jeopardy with your NDA. What does that refer to?
The non-disclosure agreement that was entered into between Depp and Heard in connection with the dissolution of their marriage and the settlement agreement.
Okay, and is this a document that was prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
All right, let's move please to Exhibit 37. Have you ever seen Exhibit 37 before?
Yes.
What is it?
This is a draft of the op-ed that Robin is sending to Amber after a conversation that they had to discuss the issues in the op-ed, and in particular, to have a conversation about the op-ed. And then she sends her changes that were made to the op-ed that were relating to things that Robin and Amber discussed during that meeting.
And to be clear, this next draft of the op-ed reflects changes that Robin Schulman made after she met in person with Amber Heard. Is that correct?
Correct.
What did Ms. Schulman and Ms. Heard discuss during their in-person meeting?
My understanding is that they discussed some of the personal experiences that Amber Heard has had that Robin used to incorporate into the op-ed.
And isn't it true that Ms. Heard's advisors initially revised the draft to remove any reference to Ms. Heard's marriage or divorce?
I recall a number of email communications back and forth among ACLU personnel and Ms. Heard's attorneys, where they were suggesting edits to the op-ed relating to matters covered in the NDA.
And then is it also true that there were some at the ACLU who expressed their belief that excising those references to her marriage and divorce from Johnny Depp made the op-ed less impactful, correct?
It is correct. That is correct.
But ultimately, based on those voices, Ms. Heard pushed to get that excised material back into the op-ed so it could be more impactful, true?
That's not my understanding. My understanding is that the language that wound up in the final op-ed piece was very different from the original language that Robin included in the op-ed after having spoken with Amber about her personal experiences.
And how was it different?
It did not refer directly to Ms. Heard's relationship with Johnny Depp.
Okay, let's move ahead, please, to Exhibit 38.
Yes, sir, stand by.
Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
And is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for your deposition?
Yes.
What does this relate to?
Exactly, Amelia
So
Sparkles.
this relates to Stacey Sullivan, who reported to Terry Tang, and her role with respect to this op-ed piece was to think about the best place to place it and to make the contacts with the media in order to get it placed.
And she suggests here that the outlets that the ACLU and Ms. Heard was considering were the New York Times, the Washington Post, Team Vogue, and USA Today. Is that correct?
So not Stacey, but Jerry, who I think you said she, Jerry is a he, and Jerry wrote some suggested places to place this after having had conversations with Amber.
And Jerry's suggestions were the New York Times, Washington Post, Team Vogue, or USA Today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Whose responsibility was to place the op-ed? Was it the ACLU's, Ms. Heard's, or some combination of the two?
The work to place the op-ed was taken on by the ACLU, in that we have in our communications department people with expertise and who regularly do just that kind of work. But as we can see from this email, it was done in consultation with Amber Heard.
And Mr. Johnson writes, since the draft turned out pretty strong and Aquaman slated to do large numbers, I'm wondering what
Hang
you
on
think
just
about
a
it.
second. I'm going to pause real
What
quick.
does she mean by saying the draft turned out pretty strong?
This appears to be the analysis of
Right
how,
after he answers.
broad-based and how what kind of reach the media outlets where we can place this will have, and that media outlets are more likely to take on publishing an op-ed like this if it is a strong one, and if it is. And to the extent that it is written by a public person who's an entertainer or a well-known person, that the more they are in the public eye at the time, the more likely it will be accepted by a more prominent or broader reach media outlet. And so that's the sort of descending media outlets, or in descending terms, in terms of descending likelihood of descending importance and reach, but greater likelihood from for example, as we go down that list.
And Amber's
Okay. So what I want to say about that is this. I think it's very important what his testimony is here, because when Johnny was testifying about the impact of the op-ed, right? And I don't think he talked about it on direct, but if I'm remembering right, and it's been a minute, you guys, you know how I roll. It seems to me that it was more on cross, that it was really discussed more thoroughly. And what it seemed to me is that the way that that her team was sort of framing it is that Amber Heard really wasn't didn't have an integral role in the op-ed, meaning, yes, it was her story. Yes, she is the one that told it, but the final product really came down to what the ACLU and her, mainly the ACLU, because I don't even think that they mentioned her lawyers, what the ACLU thought would be best, sort of removing her from liability, as it were. And yet he is saying that no, Amber Heard was consulted every step of the way. And I think the even bigger takeaway from this is that the only reason that the op-ed was written in the way that it was written was not for any other reason than than Johnny Depp and Amber Heard had an NDA. And so there were things that could not be discussed due to that NDA, which then makes me anyway, believe even further, this is, in my opinion, further evidence that anybody who read that that op-ed and took away from it that Amber Heard was referring to her experiences with Johnny Depp in that op-ed. I think that his testimony up until this point further substantiates that, in my opinion. And exactly, Amelia, exactly. That's that's exactly what it is, that she's trying to, her lawyers are attempting to distance her from the writing of the op-ed and really basically the contents of the op-ed, meaning that she told a story, right? She relayed a story, and it was the person, somebody else actually is the one who wrote it based on their perception and perspective of her story. So she's not at fault here. They're trying every little thing that they can, but I just don't see at this point it being very successful. I really don't. All right, let's hear what else he has to say.
referencing her own direct personal experience and her marriage to Johnny Depp makes it a stronger product, correct?
I think that Amber's contributions to the, the portion of the op-ed that talks about personal experiences is part of what informed the view that this was a strong op-ed, and the importance of the women's rights issues referred to in the op-ed, in that some of them were very timely women's rights issues before Congress.
And Ms. Heard had a co-starring role in Aquaman, correct?
I don't know whether she was a co-star, but I know that that was a film that she was in.
And didn't she tell the ACLU that she wanted the op-ed to come out just after Aquaman was released?
I do recall that there was a conversation about the optimal timing for the op-ed piece.
Oh, well, of course
as
there
part
was.
of that conversation, Ms. Heard said in words or substance that she wanted the op-ed to come out soon after Aquaman, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Who did she relate that to?
I don't recall, although I believe that there is documents that we produced that can shed some light on that.
Is Exhibit 38 kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Okay, and just to reiterate, I don't think that's such a negative connotation on the towards the towards the ACLU. The truth of the matter is that if you want your story to be heard, there are a lot of factors in it, and I can't think of a single role that Amber Heard would have been in going through the divorce, all of the allegations from between 2016 and 2018, when the op-ed was written and then published, right? I can't think of a single role that she was in that would have been bigger than Aquaman. So the truth is that is the correct timing. She wanted it to have the most impact. Now, what her reasons for wanting the most impact are, and what the ACLU's reasoning for wanting the biggest impact are probably very, very different. I think she wanted it out there because I think she wanted to generate interest in her movie, because and then on top of it, right, I think that because she was in such a major motion picture and a very okay, if you're not a fan of DC, then you're not gonna it wouldn't be that. If you took her screen time, she had a decent size role, right? But to be fair, she I suppose, I suppose if you use co-starring in the loosest, translation, meaning, or that, yes, she was one of many people who starred in that movie, right? Like Jason Momoa, Nicole Kidman were in there. Patrick, I never can remember his last name. He does all the Conjuring and Insidious movies. Yeah, they're all co-stars. But if you're a fan of Aquaman and the Justice League and stuff, her role was integral. It was it was an important role. But by Hollywood standards, they have a different definition. But the fact of the matter is, it's not Hollywood who goes and watches the movies. It's the fans. Oh, for Pete's sake. I really have got to figure out how to move this stupid thing. It is so annoying. Go back down here. All I did was hover my stupid mouse over it. All right, here we go.
Was it prepared by people with knowledge and prepared in a contemporaneous manner?
Yes, it was.
And it was made in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, true?
True.
Okay,
Night,
if we could move
Kez
ahead,
Chick.
please, to
Sweet
Exhibit
dreams. Thanks for
41.
being here, babe.
This is another one of these, well, it's not that long.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Also, I just want to make notice and everybody call attention to what Kez Chick wrote here. She is lying down, not laying down.
Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen this
I love
document
it.
before?
Love that.
Yes.
What is it?
These are further communications among employees, staff members in the development department regarding the placement of Amber's ad and the finalization of the op-ed piece. Not ad, I'm sorry, op-ed and the finalization of it.
Great. And if we could move ahead, please, to ACLU 257, and specifically the email from Robin Schulman to Jessica Weeks on December 11th, continuing on to the next, or strike that. Let's go to the email on the last line, Jessica White's email. She says,
What's the timestamp? What's the timestamp on the email that you're referring to?
I'm sorry. This is December 11th email at 11:05 a.m. from Jessica Weeks. You see that? Okay. And she says, Amber sent back the op-ed with final edits from her legal team, which specifically neutered much of the copy regarding her marriage and the domestic violence. You see that?
I do.
Is that consistent with your recollection?
I'm not sure about the use of the term neutered here, but I do know that her lawyers removed references to her marriage and divorce.
And then she writes, the goal is to get this out this week to capitalize on the tremendous campaign for Aquaman. What does that mean?
That means, from the ACLU's perspective, that Amber is about to receive an incredible amount of press and be in the public eye. So what better a time would it be than now to put out this op-ed so that it generates significant readership about our issues?
And Amber agreed with the ACLU on that point, correct?
I believe the answer is yes. Every step of the way we were making these decisions with Amber's PR representatives involved.
Okay, let's move back to an email in the middle of 257.
Okay.
And it is from Jessica Weeks, timestamped 11:09 a.m. on December 11th, 2018.
Exactly, Amelia. Boom.
Okay.
Robin, her lawyers omitted the below, but Amber would love to see a way to have that part in bold somehow put back in. Is there an artful way to do that? Otherwise, she is okay with the final. 2 years ago, I sought a temporary restraining order from my then husband. Ellipses was changed to 2 years ago after successfully acquiring a temporary restraining order, but still not cleared by her lawyers. You see that?
I do.
Is that consistent with your understanding about what Ms. Hurd's desires were?
Yeah, I trust Jessica White's relationship with Amber so that when Jessica told Robin that that was something Amber wanted, I have no reason to think that that's not correct.
Another boom.
Okay, and finally, let's look at the beginning. The first email in Exhibit 41 from Stacey Sullivan to Jessica Weeks says, yes, and I need to read the latest version. And Robin told me Amber's lawyers took out some of the stuff that made it really powerful. So let me look to see if I think it's strong enough for top tier. What did she mean by top tier?
I think from Stacey's perspective, the more powerful a document is, the more likely it will go into a top tier news outlet such as the New York Times or the Washington Post, you know, that sort of descending tiering that was in Jerry Johnson's email.
Okay. And is Exhibit 41 kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business by people having knowledge and done so contemporaneously?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's move ahead to 43.
Almost, Paula. Almost.
Yes, stand by.
There's not that much of him left, and he's really covered
Okay,
the main issue, but I really want to hear what else he has to say.
Directing your attention
Please
to
indulge
the
me.
first page in Exhibit 43 from Jessica Weeks to Sean Walsh. Who is Sean Walsh?
Sean Walsh at www.rconsulting.com. I don't know who that is. This is an email that includes in it people other than ACLU employees and ACLU consultants. So I'm assuming it's somebody relating to one of Amber's representatives, but I don't know for sure.
Do you know who Eric George is?
Yeah, George, BGR firm. Yes, Eric George was one of Amber's attorneys.
And she's announcing to the group that it's going to the Washington Post at triple exclamation points.
Correct.
Take it the ACLU was pleased that it was placed in the Washington Post.
Correct.
And I believe you testified earlier, but I just want to confirm for the record, the ACLU took on the responsibility of attempting to place the op-ed, correct?
Correct.
And why the ACLU instead of Amber or her PR team?
Placing op-eds about matters such as this is the kind of thing that is the bread and butter for the ACLU. And so I don't recall if a conversation happened about whether her PR people or our PR people should be in the ones that do the work to place this, but it is fully consistent with how we do our work that we placed this one.
All right, let's go back to Exhibit 42, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir, stand by.
And I'm curious. Well, I'll just wait. It's not a fully formed curiosity question yet. I'm still thinking.
Have you ever seen this document before, Mr. Doherty?
I am familiar with this document.
Is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for this deposition today?
Yes.
Was it made in the ordinary course of ACLU's business by people having knowledge and doing so contemporaneously?
Correct. Yes.
Was it maintained by the ACLU in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
Would you please direct your attention, sir, to page number 1181. In the middle of the page purports to be an email from Stacey Sullivan, Michael Larrabee, and others at the Washington. Well, I'll just say Michael Larrabee. Who is Michael Larrabee?
Michael Larrabee appears to be a person who was a contact that Stacey Sullivan had at the Washington Post. And so she reached out to him first about placing the ad. And then because she received a bounce back out of office from Mike Larrabee, she sent her original request to Michael Duffy and Mark Laswell, also at Washington Post.
And what was the purpose of her sending them this email?
This was her attempt to get the op-ed placed.
And she writes, "Hey, Michael, wondering if we might interest you in a piece by Amber Heard, who, as you may recall, was beaten up during her brief marriage to Johnny Depp, on what the incoming Congress can do to help protect women in similar situations." Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you read it correctly.
All right, let's look, please. Let's turn to Exhibit 73.
Oh, they're going to show it.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Paula, you and me both, babe.
Marty, have you ever seen this document before?
Lord.
Yes.
Is this the online copy of the op-ed that the ACLU placed?
Yes.
Directing your attention to the title, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. Who came up with that title?
Based on my investigation, I'm not aware of I'm not aware that the ACLU had any role in writing the name of the op-ed piece. And my understanding of how op-ed pieces work is that it is the media, in this case, the Washington Post, would have drafted the
Hey,
the
Melanie
name of
Jenks.
the title of the op-ed.
Good
and
to
not-
see
and
you,
not the person who
babe.
wrote the op-ed.
Did the Washington Post seek the ACLU's or Ms. Heard's approval of its title?
I believe the answer to that is no. There's nothing in the evidence that shows that they reached out to us to do that, and it is inconsistent with my understanding in that these news outlets do not usually ask for the permission of the author of the op-ed for when they come up with the title.
Hello, Mr. Doherty. Would you please, or would the technician please call up Exhibit 45?
Now, I really like how
Yes,
they've
stand by.
distanced themselves from this title, too. They're like, we didn't, No. Our name is Paul, and that's between y'all. Washington Post is responsible for that title. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen plaintiff's Exhibit 45, which is page number ACLU 623?
Hold on, I'm just making it a little bigger. Okay, yes, I've seen this document.
And is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for your deposition?
That's correct.
And what is it?
This is an article that
Well,
was
yeah,
in USA
Paula.
and specifically ties Amber's statements in her op-ed piece to Johnny Depp.
I just find it.
And when Jessica White says so much
Hold on
for
a
not
sec.
mentioning,
I just find it so interesting that the people that were behind her and in essence supporting her and also cheering her on back in 2018 have since seemingly, if not completely pulled their support, are definitely distancing themselves from Amber. So there's not a whole lot more. So I'll just let us finish it and then we'll talk about it.
JD, what did she mean?
I speculate that she was saying that there were significant efforts made by Amber's attorneys to take out the references to Johnny Depp and her marriage, and yet nonetheless.
Oh, cripes. I pushed the
Yeah.
wrong thing. Hold on. All right. I didn't mean to push that. So there you have Okay, that was annoying. I gotta wait for, I don't know why StreamYard is lagging on my computer, but it is, so there we go. Um, so let's talk about this. All right. What I find interesting is, first and foremost, the process of the writing of the op-ed and then deciding what's going to be in it, what's not going to be in it, yada, yada, yada. And I find specifically the chain of emails back and forth between Amber Heard, the ACLU, Amber Heard. When I say Amber Heard, I don't mean specifically her actual direct personal email. I'm talking about like between her and her team. Okay. And then the ACLU. And the parts of it that I find particularly interesting, the parts that I find particularly interesting are what was left out, what they all, at the end of the day, when all was said and done, and they produced the final draft, and even a little bit after the final draft was submitted, what exactly was going to be left out? Because that is very telling. In my opinion, if her op-ed was not about Johnny Depp in the first place, which is what her lawyers are alleging, right? Then why would his name need to be removed from it? And after the final draft was then submitted for review, why then was there another chain of email exchanges in which they discussed a careful, artful way to talk about her restraining order, which, does Amber have more than one restraining order? Well, I mean, if it was ever left up to guess, that, well, we know that what it was about because it's mentioned in the email chains. It was specifically about her restraining order that she filed for and got against Johnny Depp. This is, in my opinion, for the jury, not for us. But hold on a sec. But for the jury, this is going to be very damaging for Amber, because this isn't an email chain, an exchange between Amber and her pals where you can say whatever, you're just talking to your gals, right? So whatever you write in an email, is intended to be made public, right? It's between her investigations or defamation cases, turns out, where they pull up the email exchanges, right? This is very different than that. This is directly about the op-ed, which is at the heart of this defamation lawsuit. And so she wanted it in there. She wanted some type of something that pointed the finger at Johnny Depp, but yet didn't violate her NDA, which is in my opinion, based on this gentleman's testimony and his recollection of events, as well as the email exchanges that he was presented with, interpreted, and testified to, that she wanted the fingers to be pointed at Johnny Depp. And the only reason she couldn't straight out use his name was because of an NDA. It had nothing that they had both agreed to. Because remember, an NDA works both ways, right? She couldn't talk about this kind of stuff with the media, right? But also, neither could Johnny Depp. Yet, she found a way, or so she thought. She found a way to talk about it without specifically using his name. And I think that is going to be very, 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 very important. And I think that the jury is going to I think this is going to be one of those factors when they're deciding for or against, right? I think this is going to play, I think this is going to be a huge factor. I think it's very, very, very important. No, Amelia, I have not heard her latest PR release. I can't imagine that it's going to be good just because. And exactly, Paula, this is the thing. See, when we talked before Johnny Depp testified and before obviously it was Amber Heard's turn, we just talked about their testimony in general. So, because they are who they are and the way that their life is and their lifestyle, it was going to be really important for both of them to be able to connect with the jury, because most people don't have, like when they go stay on vacation somewhere, they don't book an escape room. I'm sorry, an escape hotel room. My bad. Just in case, right? They don't typically, people, the average citizen doesn't do that. So it's going to be really hard for the jury to connect with both of them. It's going to be, and probably in a lot of ways, more difficult for them to connect with Amber Heard, because I think it's going to be hard for them to believe that there were so many people allegedly that were a witness to some form of domestic abuse, whether it was verbal, but Amber alleges that there were also witnesses to physical abuse, and that nobody did anything, or that Amber was in such a state that due to the abuse, the verbal and the physical abuse, that she could not get away from Johnny Depp. You know what I mean? That people, it's very hard to relate to somebody who has money like that. And I think that's, that she needed to basically, for lack of a better word, humanize herself to the jury to get them to see that domestic violence, which is her assertion, these are her allegations, but that domestic violence crosses every line, and that it's not something that only people with, moderate means, hardly any means, or a tremendous amount of means, wealth, are, that money doesn't keep you from potentially being a domestic violence victim, right? And the problem is, as I see it, frankly, that when Amber Heard had thus far, her testimony is very contradictory to her own. Give me just a second. I'm going to switch back to the computer because it's easier for me. Okay, that's better. I almost ended the stream. I almost pushed the wrong button. Oh boy. So basically, it just feels to me like her evidence is contradictory. But at the end of the day, and when Johnny Depp's team gets to do their rebuttal at the end, that they really bring it back to the oh yeah, okay, Paula, here, let me drop the link for you. I hope they really bring it back to the op-ed, because they have to, in order for them to find for Johnny Depp. the op-ed has to be an integral part of their rebuttal. They've got to bring it back to the op-ed, and not that they need. It's very, very important for the jury not to get caught up in in all of the testimony from Johnny Depp and from Amber Heard, because let's be honest, there has been some jaw-dropping moments in the testimony. Where are who Chick Tracy, babe? Where's who? Let me make sure see. I think it's really important that they bring it back to the core of the core issue, which is this op-ed, and that they really. All right, let me put my overlay up. Hold on. Oh, I pushed the wrong thing. Haha. Y'all, I don't know what is wrong with your girl today. I'm gonna put my overlay up, and then I'm gonna add her, even though Paula has been waving at me behind the thing. It's so cute. Hey, Paula.
Hello.
Okay, I have my overlay up just so everybody can see it. Even though you showed me who you were, but backstage, I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that, babe. Okay. What are your thoughts so far? How are you today, by the way, also? Thank you for coming up.
Okay, 1 second. I'm just
Okay.
fixing. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay, hold on. I got to get to comment. I haven't done this for a while. My opinion is that the ACLU is trying to distance themselves and say that it wasn't them that wrote the header, like the title,
Right.
but they had a lot to do with the what do you call that?
The getting it out there.
That and the context of what was being said.
Right, because it was important. Their angle was to bring awareness to certain issues that were going to be before the, oh man, I always mess this up. Congress. They literally just said it, Jen. What is wrong with you? Yeah, I think Congress is right. That they wanted a very public figure to be out in front, so that the specific issues would be discussed, because there's going to be some new laws being passed.
Right. And let's not forget that Amber did this either on the heels of or at the start of Aquaman coming out.
Correct. Which, for both of them, meaning Amber Heard and the ACLU, because I suspect the ACLU had one agenda and Amber Heard had a different agenda.
I agree.
Not the same.
Right.
And that, but to be fair, regardless of what their agendas were, whether they, even if they did have the exact same agenda, right? It makes sense that you would do it at a time when because she's a relatively obscure and unknown actress, to be quite frank.
Yeah, no, but I didn't know her. I didn't know of her. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not even trying to be rude. I didn't know her.
I don't think very many people did. In fact, I've seen Pineapple Express at least 3 or 4 times. And I never even it never dawned on me, and I never even realized that she plays Seth Rogen's girlfriend in that.
I didn't even know that, but I'm a huge Marvel and DC movie
Me too.
fanatic.
Me too.
And I saw the photo of her with her red hair, and I was like, yeah, no, that's not, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not, how do you put this? Like, in the water, I could see her having the red hair,
Mm-hmm.
but on land, no.
Oh,
I don't know if that makes sense, but
I know what you mean because it's not the way that it's intended to. It's not the way it is in the comics.
right. And I haven't seen Aquaman, and I won't watch it. I won't even search her name because I don't want it to become part of my Google search. But this is what I do know because my stepsister works for a nonprofit. So even if the nonprofit, the top dogs in a nonprofit still make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's a nonprofit, it's supposed to be for charity, they
Right.
still make quite a bit of money.
Well, there has to be a salary to it. I mean, people are working there. You know what I
Right.
mean? And they need somebody. You would need consistency and somebody to for all intents and purposes, work a full-time job. But you can't expect them to be working a full-time job on a volunteer basis and not getting paid. So I understand why it is a nonprofit, but yet they have salaried employees. I get
Yeah.
that.
So I think that AH put them through the ringer because by the testimony of that man, which I cannot remember his name right now for the life of me.
Doherty.
Doherty.
Yeah,
He-
Doherty.
he-
Doherty, yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to say there was like all these, emails and exchanges and everything was going on. And basically, I think one of the comments was where one of the emails said, well, there goes Johnny Depp being mentioned.
Yes, like that's the thing is that what it seems to me is that for Amber Heard's part, and the truth of the matter is I can't fault them for this. The truth is that she had a team, right? And they make money if she makes money. If she's not making money, she can't pay them. So of course they're looking out for her best interests, as it were, right? So that makes sense for them to be mindful of, hey girl, hey, you signed an NDA. There's some stuff that you can't put in here. And I think for the ACLU's part, I think that they were cognizant and they understood the ramifications should Amber Heard break her NDA, violate the NDA. So I think it was clear to them that his name couldn't be in there, but what's unclear is if they were somewhat disappointed in that, because to me it sounds like there was some level of disappointment on their end. It's some of the emails that were read out, it was kind of like, I feel like the name that they used was Tracy. Feel like she's the one that wrote the email that said like bummer, but I don't know who she was working with. If
Was
she was
that
on,
Amber Heard's
yeah,
PR team?
I can't figure. Yeah, I feel like what at the end of the day, the bottom line is this: there was an email exchange that's very telling, in which there is a request. And I think that it is, I will go back and listen to it again and we'll cover this better tonight, where there is a request. And I believe that it is from Amber Heard's team asking, is there a way that it can be written so that people know it's Johnny Depp without using Johnny Depp's name?
And they did that.
Exactly, which is the heart of the matter at hand here. It's not about, did Johnny Depp have a jar of dirt or a jar of cocaine? It's not about did he bust up a sconce? It's not even really about either one of their drug use, quite frankly. It is simply, at the end of the day, did this op-ed, first and foremost, is what's written in that op-ed, is it true? Number one, because that's the first element of defamation, is that it has to be a lie. And the second part of the second element of defamation is that the lie it caused him to suffer a monetary loss of income because of the lie.
Okay,
So-
I have a question, Jen Lou. So didn't the Hollywood guy, remember the Hollywood guy?
Yeah. Mhm.
Didn't he say that Johnny did in fact lose 22.5 million dollars?
I can't, when the testimony that I played today, he didn't say that, but what he did say in the testimony that I played today is that Johnny Depp lost out on being involved in Pirates of the Caribbean 6, which, to be fair, everybody's lost out because it's not even been made. But should it be made, at that point, they were moving forward with it. Now we're COVID has happened and we're 3 years down the line at this. Wait, 4 years now because it's 2022. Almost 4 down the line about with respect to Pirates of the Caribbean 6 being made. Okay, but the bottom line is the op-ed was part of the reason that Johnny Depp was removed from the project Pirates of the Caribbean 6.
My mistake. I meant the older gentleman that was considered Mr. Hollywood, like the guy.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah,
what
because
he said, honestly.
to me, his testimony was the most damning because he actually put dollars to, yes, Johnny did lose like $22.5 million.
Right.
Because he wasn't going to be cast in this movie.
Right.
And even though the ACLU is trying to help Johnny, they still haven't got their money.
See, I thought that, and I'm a little unclear about this because there wasn't a whole lot of follow-up about it, and perhaps there will be, because I don't believe that Amber is done directly testifying, right? I don't think they've ended her direct testimony. I mean, I know we are all assuming that Monday is going to be cross-exam, and I think it's because they're reaching the end. But you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Look, I'm just going to be honest. I knew that there was some real scandalous stuff that she was going to say in the afternoon because I'd heard a little bit, and then subsequently, now that it's over with, people have been talking about it. And to be quite honest with you, I just couldn't listen to it.
No, they left off in 2014.
Okay. So yeah, she's still on the stand, but I mean, where are they as far as, are they wrapping up her direct testimony, or are they about to be crossed? At any rate, at least we know at some point next week, cross-examination is going to take place. Okay. So we'll just leave it there. Which now I totally forgot my whole point.
Okay, so while you're thinking, because I'm ADH2, I have another question.
Okay.
So the context of the op-ed, right? And the title. Why are they so different? Why was Elaine trying to make this point that, okay, well, you didn't write the title, but it clearly says written by Amber Heard. And when Amber was on the stand, the very first question she was asked was, why are you here? And she said, because of an op-ed I wrote.
Right.
So why is the title? Why are they trying to take it what's the difference?
Okay, let's look at the two different titles. All right, because that's important. Let me bust out the Googles, because I kind of know. I think I know the answer to that, but I want to see.
Oh yeah, one says FA and the other one does not.
Right. Hold on.
I understand that, but the context of it, who cares who writes the title?
Okay.
Paula went to the store, and then I read a story about going to the store and getting mugged. I don't know.
Well, all right. Because I think the thing is that it has to do with what is at what elements are necessary to prove defamation, which would be the lie. Okay. So if all right, hold on. So the online version is Amber Heard, I spoke up against SV and faced our culture's wrath. This has to change. All right. That is the online one. Hold on
Okay.
a second. I don't know if I can see the original one. Let's see.
Yeah, no one seemed to care about the one that was written in the paper.
Because the one that the title for the piece was the piece. They are the body of the op-ed is exactly the same. Okay, but it's the title. And I feel like using the term SV is very different than domestic violence. And that if you're going on the truth, right? Is it defamation if it's not a lie? If it's the truth, then it's not defamation, right? So if you're using the term SV, okay, and when she went to go and get her a restraining order, I do not believe, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, I do not believe that in that request that she filed to obtain a protection order was anything about SV. I think it was all domestic violence.
Yep, you're correct.
Okay.
There was no SV involved in that.
So what they're trying to say is because, okay, what I think what her attorneys are attempting to convey is that just because the title is a lie, right, doesn't mean that the body of the article, which is the part that Amber is taking responsibility for writing, is a lie as well. And therefore, do not get wrapped up in the title of the different op-ed pieces, the online versus the printed one, because Amber Heard had no, she didn't write that. And she didn't have any say about what the title was.
Okay, but was that not a direct quote from the context of the article? The title was a
Well,
direct quote.
if it had been a direct quote, then I would think, hold on, let's look at it. If it had been a direct quote, quotation marks would have been used.
Well, it is said in the op-ed.
Hold on, I'm reading it right now.
Yep, those exact words.
Titanic, Me Too. Mm-hmm. Hold on. Okay. What she actually says is, or wrote, I was exposed to, let's see. I knew, like many women, I had been harassed and essayed by the time I was of college age, but I kept quiet. So by writing that she was essayed by the time she was of college age, you can take, it seems to me that this was before she met him.
Right.
Although technically her age at the time she met Johnny Depp, she could have still been in college. But what
Right.
I think that it's the tricky way that it's written. It's very it's semantics really, because college
She
age.
said that she was so good at school that she left when she was 16. So in other words, she dropped out.
Right. See, but she's saying I was harassed and essayed by the time I was of college age. Well, people typically think of college age between 18 and what? 22, 23. That's 4 years. Give or, if you go straight through. So, that's interesting because she wasn't, I mean, she did say, didn't she say she went a little bit to college? She got her good enough diploma. I know that because I remember her talking about that.
Yeah, and then she got her GED and did the SATs after.
Yeah. And I feel like she may have been enrolled in a couple of college classes. Maybe. But then she
So you're
wanted to
changing
do
my mind
acting.
here. So because I
Huh?
haven't read the op-ed. You're changing my mind. So she never actually said that, because I was under the understanding that she did say from 2016 to 20 something. So like she wrote years.
No,
And
she said, like many women, I had been harassed and essayed by the time I was of college age, but I kept quiet. I did not expect filing complaints to bring justice, and I didn't see myself as a victim. Then, 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out. So she actually, that's what they used in the title of it, not essay. She actually said, I spoke up against domestic violence, and I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out.
oh, well,
So
you're changing my mind.
they took part of the first paragraph that she wrote and part of the second paragraph that she wrote and put them together.
So there's no timeline. It was written in 2018, right?
Right. No, she does say then 2 years ago. So the then 2 years ago, when she's talking about the 2 years ago, she's talking about being a public figure representing domestic abuse.
Which could have happened in her college years.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, but she didn't actually go to college. What my point is that the 2-year reference is that part of it is about Johnny Depp. Because domestic abuse refers to people in a domestic partnership. And that's dating people. And when she met Johnny Depp, she was married.
Okay, so what Johnny Depp's team is trying to do is the 2-year reference.
See, here Sam has it right. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. The
No, that's
2-year
okay,
reference.
because you're changing my mind a little bit. So what Johnny Depp's team is trying to do is the 2-year reference, because it was written in 2018, and 2016 was the was that the dissolve of the marriage? Yes, right?
No, 2017 is when their divorce was final, but 2016 is when Amber Heard went and got the restraining order against Johnny Depp.
Okay.
That was public.
Ooh, you're changing my mind, Jenmu, because that's going to be tough.
It's going to come down to semantics. But Sam is right. By the time she went to college means before she went to college. By the time I was college age. So by the time I was ready for college, right, I had already been the victim of SA.
Okay, so
that part of it had to be.
Been. We don't know that.
Well, right, but that's not the issue.
Oh,
that's not the problem here. Here's what the crux comes down to. It's actually very simple, but very complicated at the same time. What she wrote in the op-ed must be a lie, number one. And also, Johnny Depp must prove that as a result of that lie, he suffered a loss of income. So that's why all of the things, all of the audio, all of the video that they have, all of the emails, the text messages, that's why all of that is coming in, because she must establish that she was telling the truth about being a victim of domestic abuse. It's not really the title. And that's why her attorney continues to point out ad nauseum at this point that she had nothing to do with the title. It's very clear when you look at the op-ed that when the title was written, not by Amber Heard, not by the ACLU, but actually by the Washington Post, that what they did was they took part of the first paragraph and the end of the second paragraph and put them together, because it's not a direct quote. If it had been a direct quote, because I've seen this before as titles on the covers of magazines, they put quotation marks around it. So if it had been a direct quote, Amber Heard would have had to say those exact words in that exact order, and she didn't. What she wrote was that by the time she was in college, she'd been the victim of SA. And then 2 years ago, she became a public figure representing domestic abuse. You're talking about two different time periods.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one because she's not, I mean, you're referencing 2 years ago, right?
Right.
So,
which would have been 2016.
Yeah, but you're not saying, this is why I don't understand the embellishment towards Johnny Depp with the SV, because you can just say that by college age or before college or whatever,
right,
that you were SA. You don't have to say that Johnny Depp did it. You can just say that, yeah, before I was in college, I was SA'd and then there was domestic violence. You're changing my mind, Jen Lou.
Hey, Turtle Dove. Yeah, it's not cut and dry.
No.
This is why when I started out today, what I was saying is, do I think that Johnny Depp has proven his case in the court of public opinion? Yes, I do. What I'm not sure of, and it's going to come down to the rebuttal. However, I will say this. He's closer than Amber is as far as the op-ed goes. And the testimony from Mr. Doherty over there at the ACLU proves that the body of the article, which Amber wrote, whether she is the person, hey Karen, hey Turtle Dove, whether she is the person who wrote every single thing word for word, or she had help in editing and finagling sentence structure around, which there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But at the end of the day, that's really semantics as well. Okay. But what the ACLU is saying is that her initial writing, the thing that she wrote initially, and it doesn't matter whether she wrote it word for word or she had help along the way, but what had to be done before any other edits were done, like punctuation, grammar, syntax, all of that stuff, it had to be gone through to make sure that she was not violating her NDA. Now, if she was not talking about Johnny Depp, why was the NDA important in the first place?
Oh, okay. I think I got it now.
You got it now?
I think so. No, because you were changing my mind. Like, yes, public opinion, Johnny Depp is like, yeah, we all know he's whatever.
Right.
But somebody has to bring me back, and I'm assuming they've got to bring the jury back.
They have to, because
the op-ed.
Because the jury, you know what the jury is remembering right now? The jury is thinking about the jar of cocaine. The jury is thinking about the cavity search. The jury is thinking about I'm not going to go be graphic about it, but for YouTube's sake, you all know what I'm talking about, the Gone Girl scene, right? That's what the jury is going to be thinking about with respect to Amber Heard. They're also going to be thinking about, with respect to Johnny Depp, they're going to be thinking about the situation in Australia. They've seen pictures of the aftermath of the house from Australia. They're going to be thinking about, I have other uses for your throat that don't involve death, or whatever it was that he said, right? They're going to be, it's because they're human. It's real hard not to remember those scandalous stuff. Like, look at us. We can all sort of recall at least one or two points from each of their testimonies that were standout scandalous moments, right? Where our jaws were like, OMG.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But what's getting lost, what we can't remember is I just sat through this testimony. He just talked about what they were hoping to do with the op-ed, who it was going to be in front of, right? And I totally already forgot about it.
Mhm.
And I'm not a jury member.
No, I know. So everybody like online is saying, "Oh, I hope I can't say her name properly." Valquez, Johnny Depp. Who's going to cross-examine Amber Heard? Everybody is like, "Oh,
Oh,
I hope they, I hope she, blah 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 blah." Her. I hope they bring me back to the op-ed because I still have no idea how the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. It was Congress, by the way.
it was what?
It was Congress that they were, that's what the ACLU was intending. They wanted to have somebody out there publicly speaking about new laws that were going to be proposed in front of Congress. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm
Oh,
listening
okay.
to you though.
Yeah, no. So everybody's wanting the cross-examination to be, to impeach her in basically everything that she said. But okay, that's great. You could waste 30 minutes on that. Or you could bring everybody else back, the world and the jury, back to the op-ed. That's
Right.
what I would be doing if I was
Okay,
there.
but remember what I said, the two elements for defamation must be, right? They've got to prove that it was a lie. So in order for them to prove, for both sides, right? On Amber's side, she's got to prove that the article, what she actually wrote, not the title. We all need to forget about the title because it's actually not important. Those words are not hers, and so she's not responsible for them. Okay, she is responsible, however, for the body of the actual article is what she is responsible for. Okay, so, and as you can see, it went through many, many hands and many, many approvals before the final op-ed was published. Okay, and there's been no changes, no retractions, none of that. All right, so in order for them for Amber to prove that she wasn't lying, that she's telling the truth, and therefore it is not defamation, she has to testify about the domestic violence. And unfortunately, part of that is the really salacious and scandalous testimony. And for their cross examination, they've got to trip Amber up. They have got to prove that she is a liar. And she opened the door on Friday or Thursday.
Like the
See,
Kate Moss.
correct. See, the deal was they being both sides, on some level, bring in past relationships, meaning they could talk about people they had dated in the past. They could acknowledge, for example, like Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, it's fine for him and for her team to acknowledge that the mother of his children and the woman he was with for 14 years is Vanessa Paradis. But they couldn't go any further than that. They could, for Amber's part, they could bring up James Franco, they could bring up Elon Musk, and they could bring up that she was married before.
So was that the cause of the fist bump when she said Kate Moss?
Was that the cause of the what?
Remember when the lawyer fist bumped? He was like, yeah.
Yes, because see, she opened that door. When she talked about Johnny Depp's ex, Kate Moss, it's not that she mentioned the name. It's what she said after that. Right? because they had that whole deal in the hotel room, Kate Moss and Johnny Depp. Now, yes, exactly. Yes. So this is what's going to happen. Who they really want on the stand, Johnny Depp's team, because she opened the door. They don't give a rat's fat kneecap about Elon Musk. They don't give a rat's fat kneecap about James Franco. They want the wife she was married to when she was charged, later dropped with domestic violence.
Can they do that?
Yes.
Can
Yes. She opened the door. She testified about Kate Moss and a situation that was not supposed to be talked to. They could only acknowledge ex-partners in this, so much as that Vanessa Paradis is one of Johnny Depp's exes. She's also the mother of his child. Winona Ryder is Johnny Depp's ex, and his tattoo initially said Winona Forever. It now says Wino Forever. Kate Moss is Johnny Depp's ex, but they could not talk about specific incidences with those exes. And when she talked about the Kate Moss situation, she opened that door. Her attorneys didn't close it. And now if they want to, they can attempt to get her ex-wife on the stand.
To prove that
to prove that Amber Heard is the aggressor and the one who is the perpetrator of the domestic violence, not Johnny Depp, because she allegedly is the victim of domestic violence at the hands of Amber Heard. That is why Amber Heard was arrested, and that is why Amber Heard was charged. Now, those charges were subsequently dropped.
Okay, I'm still thinking. I'm sorry. I'm still thinking of the op-ed. So whether Kate Moss was brought up, that I know what you're saying. That gives Johnny Depp's team the opportunity to bring up her past convictions. Here's where
No, not her past convictions.
Oh,
She wasn't convicted of domestic abuse or domestic violence. She was arrested for it. But what it allows is for Johnny Depp's team to call her ex-wife, who was the alleged victim in the domestic violence situation for which Amber Heard was arrested and not charged. And she can testify as to what happened during that specific incident.
okay. So then that will prove what? Because she's already denied it.
She can deny it all she wants to, as long as she's not denying it under oath. It's very different.
She's already perjuring herself like 1,000 times over on that stand right now. She believes what she's saying.
Well, yeah, but perjury is a very difficult thing to prove. You'd have to have something somewhere where Amber Heard admits that she lied on the stand in order for them to get her for perjury.
I don't know. I just remember George Costanza from Seinfeld. He said, "It's not a lie if you believe it."
Well, I mean, it's not, but that's very different than the legal definition of perjury.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I was going back to the op-ed, and I've got to read that because I didn't. And I wanted to ask you another question. Is the one in the paper any different than the one that's online?
No, the only thing that's different is the title.
So one title kind of smacks you in the face, like the online one,
right?
Like, holy crap, right?
Because they're targeting a different audience online than they are in the paper.
Okay, so in the paper one is kind of a little bit more
tame.
Okay, but who reads the paper anymore?
Older people read the paper.
Okay. But so okay, now I get why you played that clip. Now I get it. Okay. So you're trying to say that the email exchanges between Amber Heard's oh, sorry, AH's
You
team.
can say Amber Heard. What is she going to do? Dox me?
I don't know. Come after me. Come get me. I dare you. But anyways, okay. So AH's team, or her PR team or whatever, who is in direct contact with Amber Heard, right?
Right. It's not just her PR team, it's her lawyers as well.
Right. So everybody is trying to dance around her writing this article. She wants to say that it's, and she's physically writing, I want to say that this was all, this happened to me and it was all Johnny.
I don't know if she's alleging that it was all Johnny as far as the SV goes, but she's definitely alleging that the domestic abuse was Johnny Depp. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then her lawyers are going back, and then the PR team's going back, and then Amber Heard's coming back. So that's why the ACLU dude was important, because was he involved in these emails? Was he CC'd on them or something?
I think so, yes. But more, the reason that he is important, he's important for a couple of reasons. But the biggest reason is that he is testifying essentially that Amber Heard's true intent with the article as it was written, when she was the person she was referring to who was her abuser is Johnny Depp. And the only reason that it wasn't included in the article is because it would have violated the NDA that Amber Heard signed. She fully intended for that article to be about her time with Johnny Depp. That's why his testimony is so important.
Okay, I got it now.
Yeah, that's why.
And now I got why you played it. So I was thinking, like, Jeremy, why are you playing this guy? Like, he was boring. But now I get it, because he was involved in and played a major role in being the spokesperson, or whatever you want to call it, for the
Right.
ACLU.
Right.
So he's attached to that op-ed,
Correct.
and he's attached to it in
He's
favor.
representing the ACLU in this
Yeah.
in this capacity. Yes, correct.
So
Although there were many hands in
Yeah.
the op-ed, but at the end of the day, the other thing that's very, 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 very important that he testified to is that Amber Heard wasn't some babe in the woods, right? She wasn't some doe-eyed, she wasn't some doe and in the forest full of wolves. She had people looking out for her. So they were advising her every step of the way.
but
And
she
it
didn't
was
know
those advisors that are the reason that Johnny Depp's name wasn't mentioned. But for them, his name would have been all over that article.
Oh, yeah, because yep, I can see that. And the reason,
Which is why I
Sorry.
suspect that the final edit, which was after the request, is there some way that we can artfully, because I'm not quoting verbatim, that we can artfully point the finger at Johnny Depp without saying his name. I suspect that is why 2 years ago is in there.
so 2 years ago is the key sentence?
Correct. Well, I think that because if you just do the math, right? 2 years ago would have been 2016. In 2016, Amber Heard filed for a restraining order against Johnny Depp alleging domestic violence. She subsequently then filed for divorce from Johnny Depp, right? But in the final outcome of the divorce decree, they read a letter, or a statement rather, that was drafted by, as Johnny Depp put it, lawyers. And it couldn't have been his lawyers. I mean, completely. And it probably wasn't her lawyers completely. It was probably a mix of the two, of both sides coming together to issue a statement that basically absolves either one of them of anything. And everything would have been fine. But then Amber Heard had to go and write the op-ed, because the statement that they read together, or the statement that was released that was allegedly authored by both of them, which really is their team, right? Really was sort of more like, look, some shit was done, some shit was said, but at the end of the day, we're just going to move forward and everything's going to be cool. That's really what their statement meant. But then here she comes with the op-ed and writes in that op-ed 2 years ago. That's the key to it. Part of the key. Because that's 2016.
Which places her at the TRO.
Correct. It places her
Oh.
as at the TRO and then when she talks about she further goes on to talk about how institutions protect men, and she uses the analogy of the Titanic, right? That's her artful way of saying, I was told basically to SFU or STFU when the divorce was finalized and the statement by us was issued.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't represent my true thoughts, my true feelings. It was what was done for basically to save face for him. I meant what I said when I went and got that restraint, filed for that temporary restraining order. I was telling the truth. I was shut up.
Yeah, that changes everything. That makes sense to me now. Why she's so like that's all we're hearing about is every day was basically hell for her. So she has to say that when she filed the TRO and when she signed the divorce papers, she was basically told to shut up.
Yes, but what's interesting about that's her version of events. But when Johnny Depp testified, he wanted to fight all the things and was advised, no, shut the fuck up.
So he too was told to shut up.
Correct. Correct.
So that's why we're doing this DV and SV dance on this
Correct.
one. Because to me, in my own opinion, it's wasting a lot of time because the trial is about an op-ed.
Yeah, but you got to get Amber Heard is the one that made the allegations. If you think about it, if you really pay, like, nobody would have known anything about what was going on between Johnny Depp from Johnny Depp. Everything came, all the allegations, all the salaciousness came from Amber Heard. And
Yep.
it was started with the filing of the TPO. That is what kicked it all off. That's what started it.
And did she not sell that video of the kitchen to TMZ?
I don't know if that's true or not. I'll have to look into that for you guys, but I'm not sure.
Well, people are saying TMZ are striking people's channels when they play that clip.
I'm not going to play any clip.
No,
from
but I'm
TMZ.
just saying, like, the reason I was like, I'm all confused, or I was confused, but I'm not now. So Johnny Depp did his part. He did keep his mouth quiet. He never said anything about their relationship in a derogatory or negative way
Correct.
to the press or anyone else.
Well, that they can prove,
That they can prove, or that ruined Amber's so-called career, whatever that means.
Right, because after all of this, even after some might argue that it actually helped her career.
I would
Because
say
it was
so.
after she divorced Johnny Depp and all these accusations started to become public, which started with the TPO, that she got the role in Aquaman.
Yeah.
And the next big role that I remember Amber Heard having after Aquaman would have been her role as a Nadine Cross in The Stand. And to be fair, it couldn't have come along at a better time, to be quite honest with you, because when The Stand came out, we were all on quarantine. So everybody was streaming everything. And I'm not sure that I think the real hardcore fans of Stephen King would have absolutely watched, but I think it reached a bigger audience because we were locked up, be quite honest with you. She wasn't that
I
great in
don't
it.
think she's that great of an actress. I'm sorry, I just don't.
No, she's
I,
not.
I think I honestly, and this is no shade. I promise you, I think she definitely has mental health issues, like
Well,
some deep-seated mental health issues. I think that Dr. Curry was pretty much predicted what was going to happen on the stand, and it's happening.
exactly.
And the reason I was confused this morning, not because of you, gentlemen, but because I was like, why are we listening to this guy again? And I'm like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
Because but the ACLU is going to want to distance themselves as far away from that article as they can because she still owes them like what, $2.5 million?
I think it's 3.5.
Yeah, well, Elon Musk did 500,000. Johnny
Oh,
Depp did 200,000 in her name.
oh, that's true.
So what has she got left? And
I don't.
she hasn't even paid sick kids.
Right, right. Yeah, she's not okay. So it's my understanding that her settlement from the divorce was to be 7 million. 3.5 was to be paid to the ACLU, and 3.5 was to be paid to a children's hospital charities.
Jim Miller, got another question.
Okay.
So for defamation,
Uh-huh.
in the non-disclosure agreement or in the divorce settlement,
Uh-huh.
wasn't it also stated that they weren't supposed to financially prosper off of this divorce or something like that?
So no, what Johnny Depp signed, which Mr. Rottenborn read 47 times, was that neither party did anything to, how did they, now I can't even remember how he wrote it because he said it 47 times and now I'm drawing blank. Neither party made allegations in an attempt at financial gain.
And
So
is that
basically what that means is Amber Heard didn't say that she had been the victim of domestic abuse or violence at the hands of Johnny Depp as a means to blackmail him. Because but it pertains to both of them. But Johnny Depp was not saying anything. So to be fair, it really is more about it
hence
has more to do. But to be fair, they said neither party.
hence the op-ed, and hence why they're trying to obviously trip her up somehow. And what she's saying, because she's the one that crossed the line.
Well, she violated the agreement. She violated an agreement that was in the divorce settlement when she spoke about the amount of money that she got in the settlement. That was not supposed to be disclosed. And so when she did that, Johnny Depp, rather than give her her first payment, he paid one of the charities directly, which made her livid because she said that, it was in my name, right? But it's still a charity. It's still a payment to a charity. So now Johnny Depp is the one that gets the tax write-off. That's what she said. She was mad about it.
But she would have got, so that, to me, that's prosperous. If you're going to donate $3.5 million to a nonprofit, even if it's in your name, you're gonna profit from that in your taxes. Amber Heard, not Johnny Depp. Amber Heard. I'm from Canada. I don't know your U.S. tax.
So it's not okay. So Amber Heard, okay, if Johnny Depp, if she had never said a peep about the money, she's the one that talked about, she made a big deal about the settlement that she received from Johnny Depp. And basically it was to say, all of you jokers out here thought I married him for his money. Well, guess what? I got a $7 million lawsuit from him and I got a $7 million settlement from him and I'm not even keeping it. I'm paying half of it to this charity and half of it to the other charity. So technically, no, she did not gain financially. And that's what was written in the settlement. Neither party has made any accusations or allegations for financial gain. So what Johnny Depp did was said, oh, okay, so now you've violated the agreement that we made, which was that you were never supposed to disclose the amount of money that you got in this divorce settlement, but you did that. And since now you've announced, not only did you violate that, but you announced where the money was going to, I'll just go ahead and make your first payment and I'll send that directly to the charity, which is what he did. But it's still a charity payment. And so by the tax laws, he can write that amount off on it's a tax deduction.
Oh, well, then she could have been just little Miss Vindictive and decided, well, then, F you, I'm going to write an op-ed.
Right.
Because there was a bunch of puff pieces that she tried to make, but they didn't fly because Hollywood doesn't care about puff pieces. Like,
well, they weren't okay, so the most scandalous and the one that Johnny Depp was the most incensed by were articles that were written in The Sun, which is a British tabloid, right? So he sued them. And in that lawsuit, Amber Heard was not a party to that lawsuit. She was basically a witness.
is that the one with she's eating in it?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, wait. Yeah, I think yes. Okay, yes, correct. So, yeah. And he lost that lawsuit because I'm not familiar with UK laws as far as what their press is allowed to do.
Well, they follow our laws. The magistrate, the queen.
Yeah, but I don't know but I don't know. I don't know anything about that because I'm a United States citizen. So I have no idea. I can only tell you what our laws are here.
I think that's why she lost, is what I'm trying to say. Because
yes,
Canadian laws also
he lost.
follow the queen. Yeah,
he lost. Right.
Yeah, I think that's why he lost.
Right. Which is why he didn't sue the Washington Post, because over here, the freedom of the press, they are more protected, I think, than even the press in the UK. He would not have, if he had added the Washington Post to this lawsuit, it would have been very, very different. And the outcome would, as far as being the Washington Post being found liable, they probably wouldn't have been.
So your papers in the United States, you guys can write whatever you want.
No, we cannot write whatever we want. No, but the press has a different level of protection, which is why it's published as an op-ed, because it's an opinion piece editorial. So it's not subject to the same checks for authenticity as it is a straight news article. They don't vet it in the same manner. And the truth of the matter is, she did file for a temporary restraining order, and a temporary restraining order was granted. So I would imagine that the Washington Post thought process would be that she stood in front of a judge and gave, and he or she listened to her testimony, as it were, and decided that her claim had enough merit, and she was granted a temporary restraining order.
From that picture with her little zit.
But it was more than a picture. It was her testimony too.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Okay. So in that situation, the Washington Post probably felt comfortable posting it as an op-ed versus from a reporter directly employed by the Washington Post to write the article, because that's very different. The standards for that and what they would have had to do all of the vetting, meaning they would have had to hear both sides. Now, if they were just reporting strictly on Amber Heard, if their article, the Washington Post by a Washington Post reporter, if the article was about the temporary restraining order, that's different, right? Because that can be proven. She was given a temporary restraining order, and they would be allowed to write what testimony and evidence was presented in order for Amber Heard to get that temporary restraining order. It's a different standard of vetting when it's an editorial opinion piece written by an independent person versus an article written by an employee of the publication. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Oh, no. I got
Okay.
it now
Okay.
because I was
Okay.
wondering. I kept wondering why. I knew there was a reason you were playing the ACLU guy. I just didn't know. I wasn't sure why, but now I get it.
Well, to be fair, hold on just a second. All right, Karen, have a good rest of your day. Don't work too hard in the yard. Thanks for coming. To be fair, I was confused myself. If I would have heard me speaking this morning, all my synapses were not firing and I was a little bit all over the place, I would be confused too. I was confused and I'm the one saying it and I had my idea.
You were awesome. I love you.
Thank you.
Don't
Oh, thank you so much.
No, I knew there was a reason. I was trying to, I was just trying to piece it together. Like, okay, because in Canada, it's completely different. I think. I don't know because I've never read an op-ed, but
I feel like in Canada, citizens and things like this, you guys don't have access to records in the same way that we in the United States do, right? So we have over here what's called the Freedom of Information Act, okay? Which, that's why private citizens can do background checks. The thought really behind the Freedom of Information Act, the actual purpose of the Freedom of Information Act was more for private citizens to hold the courts accountable. So, for example, we would have access to evidence and stuff like in criminal proceedings, so that we are the checks and the balances for the judicial system, so that if something slips through and somebody's wrongly convicted, it doesn't have a private citizen can start the ball rolling and raise a fuss, right? And bring injustice to light. That's what it was intended for. It was not intended for people to get into arguments on the YouTubes or on social media, period, and be running background checks on each other. That is not what the Freedom of Information Act was put into place for. It's for us to yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, with great power comes great responsibility, and some people are not capable. It is what it is.
So in your opinion, and then I'll go, did the ACLU dude, I don't know his name again, I forgot it already.
Doherty,
did he help JD or
oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yes. Because it's his testimony that, see, think back to the opening arguments. Not all of them, not the ones that were made by Elaine, but the ones that were made by Mr. Rottenborn on Amber Heard's behalf. Basically, his argument is that A, it's not a lie, and B, she is protected under her freedom of speech to say that. Okay, but freedom of speech isn't freedom from consequences, which is why we have things like defamation lawsuits in the United States. Yes, you can say whatever you want. You can write whatever you want, but you aren't free from consequences from exercising free speech. So you have to be careful.
So hence why Johnny Depp had to go this route.
Correct. And this is why he had to get the ACLU involved, because the ACLU is essentially, it was their idea for Amber Heard to write a piece. Okay. Their part of their role in it was to basically, for lack of a better word, shop the piece around, which is why he talked about the tiers. And at the top of that tier, meaning it would have gotten the most read, right? It would have been the most read, most viewed online, and then most read in the newspaper, right? Would have been the Washington Post. And down the ladder, several rungs would have been Teen Vogue. Okay. Because that Teen Vogue is a specific audience, right? Teens. So, they wanted the maximum impact from a top tier publication, and the Washington Post is such a publication, which is why so their role in it was to shop it around, because their agenda was they wanted an ambassador, as it were, who is a public figure, which Amber Heard is a public figure. And there were several laws that were going to be before Congress. That's how we get our laws here in the United States, is that they have to go through Congress, right? And they wanted to bring attention to SA, particularly on basically violence against both genders, really, to protect, for there to be stricter, tougher laws, right? So that was their agenda. And because they knew that Amber Heard had been there were the allegations, and see, it's kind of more than the allegations, because if you think about it, it's not that easy to get a temporary restraining order, particularly when what was that? What was it? Pro se? Is that the term they used?
per se.
Pro se. So Johnny Depp wasn't even notified. Nobody, it was just
He
her.
wasn't there. He wasn't even in the state.
Right. He didn't have an opportunity to rebut, as it were, to give his side of the story. So I think that the ACLU was thinking there's got to be merit to this, right? Otherwise, I mean, it's been through essentially one checks and balance system, which is she stood in front of a judge and filed for it.
Well, it's also my opinion it doesn't give much credit to the ACLU. Because if they're not going to properly...
This is going to be this has definitely marred their record for sure.
Yeah.
Which is why they're which is why they're being super cooperative, because they're basically saying, look, we kind of think we may have, they're not actually acknowledging a fuck up, but they're saying there's a chance, a possibility, mayhap we did mess up. And so let us help you. Right. If there was a wrong, we're going to try to maybe help you right it. We'll tell what we know. And it was very, very important for the jury to hear Mr. Doherty say, Amber initially had Johnny Depp's name in the article, and there was quite back and forth between the ACLU and Amber Heard's team with respect to how do we get everybody to know that she's talking about Johnny Depp without naming him and without her violating her NDA. And that's the truth.
Yeah,
and the jury needed to hear that.
Doesn't give them much credit, in my opinion, if they're not properly vet their ambassadors, so to speak. If they're not going to properly vet them and their stories, it doesn't get. I see why he
I think they did think that they vetted them, babe. That's what I think. I really think that they thought that they did their level best. Now, what I will say is, whatever their vetting process was then, I promise you it's changed. They'll be there. I'm sure it's a much more stringent process for them before they pick an ambassador.
Okay, so then why wasn't oh no, never mind. That's totally off topic. Sorry. I went too far left there. I was going to ask you about the children's hospital. Like, why weren't they brought into it?
Because they don't have anything to do with it.
No, but I'm just saying, like the that's why I said I went too far.
They don't have anything to do with it. The only reason the ACLU has a hand in this, or is a part of this at all, a party to this at all, they're not a party. Why they're a witness in this at all is because they were integral in the op-ed article. They were integral in every process except for the title.
Who? Yeah. Okay. So may I ask again, who wrote the title? Like, did somebody just pick that?
The Washington Post. Somebody at the Washington Post did it.
So someone just picked that out of the air.
No, they didn't pick it out of the air. They took the beginning of the first paragraph and they took the end of the second paragraph and smushed it together. The title
Which
when you
is still
title an,
Amber's words though, right?
I mean, it is Amber. Yeah, they are parts of, I mean, yeah, Amber did write those words, but she did not write those words in that order. It's not a direct quote.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the difference. Mhm. A title, really, if you think about it, like what did I titled my live, looking back. We are looking back, are we not?
Right.
Okay. So the title, when you're writing an article, you want the title to be a summary basically of what the article is going to be about. But it's got to be, and this is the thing, you got to know your audience. When people who are searching online for articles, or not even searching, just online, and they hit new, they're on their Google homepage and you click news, right? You're inundated with a ton of articles, right? So how do you, as a publication, make sure that your article is the one that's read? It has to be stand out, because there's so much competition when it comes to online. When it comes to a paper, right? You have obviously different choices that you can read, right? But 9 times out of 10, with respect to the Washington Post, right? The people that probably first read the article in the paper, as it were, would be subscribers, people who have the Washington Post delivered to their home. Okay. And then becomes the talk around the water cooler. And then you have people who go and buy the newspaper specifically for that article, right? It's the competition is different in a physical publication versus an online publication. It used to be the other way around. People hardly paid attention to what was written on the internet. People only trusted the physical publication, right? But now it's much different. Not nobody, but the audience for online articles is huge and worldwide.
I mean, this is going to be so tough to prove. That, like, I know she was talking about Johnny. You know she was talking about Johnny. The world knows she was talking about Johnny, but she didn't say.
No, but that's why his testimony was important, because she definitely was talking about Johnny Depp, and the email exchanges prove that. But I fully believe in the competency of Johnny Depp's lawyers. And I promise you, I feel very confident in that when all the direct testimony and cross-examination has been presented, and Amber Heard's side rests their case in chief, when it comes back to Johnny Depp's rebuttal, they're going to bring it back around to the op-ed, and and then Amber Heard's team is going to get a chance for a rebuttal. And I get, again, at the end, then they're going to have closing arguments. And I promise you that that Johnny Depp's team is going to stay focused on the op-ed article and the evidence proving A, it was written about Johnny Depp without using his name, and B, that it was a lie. And they're going to bring it back around,
And
because that's what they have to file.
With
That's what they have
malice.
to find. Right. Exactly. That's what they have to find.
Because that's their only job.
Right.
It's not to prove whether or not Johnny did all these horrible, horrific things that Amber's saying, or Johnny, whatever. Their only job is to prove whether or not that op-ed affected or effected. How do I say that correctly? Effected Johnny.
Right. Hold on. I never get that right. That's the one grammatical thing I'm not. Hold on. I'll tell you. Let me hit the Googles.
Okay.
Let me Google out. All right. Let's see what Google says. Huh. Okay. Affect is the verb. So you want to use affect. Effect is a noun. That's how so if you're describing, if you're saying an article, it would be affect, because affect is a verb, right? No, hold on.
I don't know. I'm still lost.
Let me look. Yes,
all I know-
affect is usually a verb meaning to produce an effect upon, as in the weather affected his mood.
okay.
Effect is usually a noun's meaning, a change that results when something is done or happens. Yes. So it's the word is affected. Did it? Yeah. The verb
So
is
that
affect.
so that's the jury's only job.
Well, yeah, but first, well, no, because they have to determine whether or not what was written in the op-ed, whether it was a lie or whether she was telling the truth. See, that's part of defamation. So if you write the truth about somebody, right? Okay, I'll give you a prime example. Chris Watts. Okay, if I were to publish an article, an opinion piece on Chris Watts, and I called him in that article a family annihilator, okay, and my article was read by 11 billion people. And out of that 11 billion people, 25 of those 11 billion people were staunch supporters of Chris Watts, and so much so that they routinely and regularly put money on his books. But after reading my article, they realized, wait a minute, no. And they pulled that support from him financially. Okay. I'm okay to write that he's a family annihilator because he's been convicted of that crime. Okay. What I can't say are things like,
I got it.
you get it now?
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
So yep.
It has to be a lie.
So
That's
that's
part
why
of the
we're-
element.
That's
Mhm.
why we're going down this yellow brick road that like yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
because
Correct.
and like and then I had one more question. I know you're not a lawyer and I know you can't speak to this, but is a person allowed to just sit up there on the stand and lie?
People do it all the time.
Really?
They're okay. The truth of the matter is this. When you stand up there, right, and you say you're going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God, right, in the United States, if you lie, it's called perjury, okay, and that is a criminal offense. So did you watch the Anthony Tote trial with me?
No.
Okay.
So could there be a part two then? If let's say by some miracle Amber wins, by some fucking miracle, excuse my language.
Mhm.
But let's say she wins.
Mhm.
Can Johnny appeal that decision? Is there a part two to this? Or
I think he can. I think he does have. I think he can appeal. Yes. So let me tell you let's say that the jury found for Johnny Depp in this case, okay, and to go to your perjury. So what we can say if the jury were to find for Johnny Depp in this case, then it could be surmised that it's because the jury didn't believe part of Amber Heard's testimony, all of Amber Heard's testimony, but also that they did not believe the evidence that her side presented, right? For it to get to the level of perjury, you would have to have proof of a lie on the stand. There'd have to be a paper trail, like a text to one of her friends that read, "Be sure you check out the trial coverage today. I'm gonna totally BS these MFers." Something to that effect. There has to be a paper trail of lying, right? Or I mean, that's just it. You have to be able to prove that she lied.
yeah,
Just
and
because a
everything
jury
she's
didn't
saying, somebody
find
would have to be in the room to say, oh no, wait a minute, that's not how it went down.
Well,
Like,
right, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So, perjury is a horse of a different color, and it's I mean, it's like anything else, in any other criminal charge. Knowing somebody lied and proving somebody lied are two different things. That's why they came down so hard on Monica Lewinsky, and that's why it was they even though Linda Tripp recorded those phone calls illegally. They needed to get they needed to get Monica on tape, which is when they went to that restaurant. They needed to get Monica admitting on tape that she lied in the affidavit that she signed, because she was going to be called as a witness in the Paula Jones case against Bill Clinton. And they, in order to not scare, what's the right word? They threatened Monica Lewinsky, which they would have been within their power, to say that she committed perjury, because an affidavit is akin to a testimony. You are signing under penalty of perjury that that what you wrote and what in this affidavit is true. And if you turn that in and it's a lie, which is why they wanted to get her telling Linda Tripp that she lied in that affidavit, so they could use that as leverage. Ken Starr. That's what the purpose was.
Okay, so okay, now I get it. Going back to the op-ed.
Yeah.
So it all goes back to the ACLU and what they allowed, or whatever, the email exchanges, the PR team, Heard's lawyers, whoever was involved in that. The bottom line is it was and is, or no, was okayed, for lack of a better word, by Amber Heard.
Correct.
Okay, yep, go ahead.
But also, but the other part of that is the thing that Amber Heard's lawyers are arguing is that you cannot read that article and make a determination that it's about Johnny Depp. She doesn't mention his name directly. And the reason they needed to have the guy from the ACLU testify, Mr. Dari, is because he is testifying to the fact that it was actually about Johnny Depp. And the email exchanges between the thought of the article, the writing, all the stages in between, it was always about Johnny Depp. Because that's the other part they have to establish. They have to establish also that the op-ed is about Johnny Depp.
Yeah. No.
And that it's a lie.
Is he subject to recall? I forget.
Probably. He probably would be, yeah.
I would think so. I would hope so. So the jury, I would not want to be on that jury. I'm sorry, because they have to prove that the op-ed is a lie, the body of it. Then they have to prove that one of them or both of them are lying about the DV and the SV and all that other stuff. And then they have to determine whether or not, like, I don't have much hope now that I don't think he cares if he wins or loses. That's my personal opinion. I don't think Johnny Depp cares. I think he wanted this out.
He knows that Amber Heard doesn't have no $50 million. She didn't even have $5 million.
Yeah, like that. I don't think he ever really cared about the money.
He wanted his name cleared.
Yes. And that's the part that I can get on board with, because first of all, Amber, I know we're going down a different trail here and you probably want to go, but she's triggering a lot of people in the world. And that's what sociopaths do when they don't care about the feelings of another human being, right? Like, how can you get on the stand? Because it is my opinion that she's lying.
Okay.
I believe there's little tiny bits of truth to what she's saying. Like, yeah, there was an argument, but I didn't.
Yeah, every lie contains a kernel of truth.
Yeah, like, a broken clock's right twice a day, right?
Right, exactly.
So, but I just, like, I just don't think at the end of the day, I don't think he cares whether he wins or loses. He knows, like you said, one, he's not going to get $50 million. He just wants the world to see what Amber is actually like.
Right.
What,
Oh, and I should point out that just because he's asking for $50 million, right? And let's say the jury does find in favor of Johnny Depp, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to award him $50 million. It's just, that's just what he's asking for. You know what I mean? They could award him,
yeah,
they could award him $100. They could award him $50. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I don't think he
It's not about the money for him. It is definitely about the money for her, which is why she sued him for $100,000.
Yeah, I honestly, in my heart, don't believe that he wanted to hurt Amber like this. I don't think he did. I don't think he wanted any of this. Like, you
I
know what
think he would have preferred to handle the what happened in their marriage. I think I think it got to a point for him where he was like, look, clearly this isn't working. It's not working for me and it's not working for you. So let's just not be together anymore. Okay? Stop playing reindeer games. Stop, don't just stop with the TRO. We'll reach a settlement. I will sign something, you sign something, and we'll say that, look, we just couldn't, we just aren't, we're just can't get along together, but neither one of us beat the other one up, which is basically what that statement amounts to. And we'll just go our separate ways. And she could not let it go. And that's the truth.
Yeah, because
But to be fair, he knew when he brought this lawsuit on, when he sued her directly, he knew that all the scandalous, anything and everything would come out. All of it. All the emails, all the text messages, videos recording, audio recording, testimony about his drug use, testimony about his alcohol abuse, testimony about what kind of childhood he had, what kind of mom he had, what kind of dad he had, all of those things. And he did it anyway.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't
Mhm.
think he wanted to go this route. He wanted the world to see what he lived with for X amount of years.
Right.
Look what I had to live with.
Right.
Someone that is taking it all the way to, I swear on my life, I'm going to tell the truth,
Mhm.
and then get on a stand. And there was nothing he could do to negotiate with her. There would be no happy uh, medium. There would be no happy, and if she just had said, okay, I'll be an ambassador for you, Mr. ACLU. I'll be an ambassador for you. I suffered childhood trauma. I suffered trauma in my teens and in my tweens.
Mhm.
And let it go at that. Everything would have been fine. Like, what's the vindictiveness, man? Like, what? I don't
know. I don't know.
Anyways, thank you, gentlemen, for
Oh,
letting me
you're
come on.
welcome. Thanks for coming up. It was fun having you. I enjoyed having you.
What time is the interactive tonight?
9.
9.
Yeah,
So
or
is that
should I
my-
do it a little earlier? You think 8 would
Is
be
that
better?
my time 9 or your?
Yeah, 9 Eastern.
Okay, so I don't. Oh, it's up to you. It's your.
I feel like everybody's like chilled out by 9 o'clock Eastern time because it's still a weekday. So if you got littles, they're probably in bed because it's a school day, you know?
I don't have
So,
littles, and I'm off for 2 days, so I'm up for it, man. I'm here.
well, we're gonna do it at 9 because that's the time I wrote in my
Okay.
in my community post. So I'm
Oh, did you
sticking
put a
to that
reminder up?
because that's oh yeah, I'll set a live to remind you guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you
do
so
it at
much,
9 o'clock.
Lou. And thank
Oh,
you
you're
to the
welcome.
chat for being patient with me. And I just love everybody here. This is the only
Aw.
channel I'm on. I don't care. This is
Oh,
it.
thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for coming up and asking me the questions and hearing. And I always like talking to people and listening to their opinions. I think you did an excellent job.
Thank you. And I
I
appreciate you, gentlemen. And I appreciate the chat. So,
oh, thank you so much. I
okay,
appreciate you.
many blessings.
You too.
Thank
Thank you. All right. Bye. All right, Sugar Beet. I don't think so. I don't. I don't think he knew. I don't think he knew until it was too late, to be honest with you. I really don't. I think that I think that the testimony that Johnny Depp gave on direct, where he's recalling certain situations, I believe that he is recalling now with the benefit of hindsight. And I think that you can sort of see when he's talking about things, he's working it out in his mind, and it's like he is realizing some things that he may not have realized at the time. You know what I mean? I don't think that he had any idea that she was doing all of the things that she was doing, that she was collecting evidence. No, because it makes you wonder if he thought that she was collecting evidence, right, in real time. We'll just go with the cabinet video. That's what I like to call it. If she, wouldn't he have curtailed? Okay, he at some point realized that she was recording it, right? And got up and knocked the phone over, hit through the. I don't know what he did, but the phone was no longer in its original position. Whether he knocked it down, threw it, I don't know what he did with it, because you can't really tell. But after that incident, don't you think he would have become more cognizant and aware of this? She's trying to. She's recording me, and maybe changed his behavior. I don't think he thought she was using it as evidence. Not in that way. Not like she was going to use it against him in like she is now. I think maybe he was under the impression that she was recording things to play back to him, because it would be video when they went to talk about it later on in therapy, etc., that now there's video evidence or audio evidence of exactly what was said. Sort of like when you're on the stand testifying and the attorney asks the court reporter to read back the last 5 seconds of testimony. You know what I mean? Yes, you did say that. Like when people take screenshots. Yes, you sure did write that in a PM. You see, I think that's more like what it was. I don't think it was. I think it was. I think that's what he thought it was. I do. I don't think that he thought that it was going to be used in the way that it has been used. No, I don't. All right, you guys. I've been on for almost 3 hours, and I don't want to talk about all the things now, because then what will we talk about tonight? Although there's probably 11 billion things we can talk about tonight that I haven't even considered yet. So I want to thank the mods for being here, and I want to thank you guys for being here and being so supportive. Thank you, Paula, for coming up. It was fun. I love having you guys on panel. And I will see you guys tonight at 9 Eastern. We're going to do an open panel. I'm going to play some more clips, I think, that are important for us to hear about. And because I wanted to bring it back to the op-ed, but tonight I think I want to talk more about testimony. You know what I mean? I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. So you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday, and behave out here on these YouTube streets, and I'll see y'all tonight. All right. Thank you guys. Bye.